let's take a peek at the steering wheel of the vehicle. So this thing has an absolutely beautiful look here. We've got a fully digital dash there. So let's kind of dive in and figure out what everything does. So starting off with the left-hand side, so this thing actually does act as a few different things because we do have a directional pad along the top there. So top and along the side, so we can move between different options inside of that display screen. But when we're inside of any of the other screens there, so we go to info panel, etc. So we've got a lot of options. We can hop out, we can press back up in order to highlight all of these other buttons. So we literally can kind of hide things as we go, which is definitely a neat thing. So we press the middle button there in order to jump into our menu, and then we just press up in order to exit out of that menu, which brings everything back. We've got our phone button, so we can answer or hang up on a phone call. We've got our own favorite button, so we can press this button and then along the screen, so as you saw there, so it just pulls this up, where we can literally have it so that it can set up a few different things. So we can have it so that when we long press it, is it going to mute, do a few different things, or if we long press it, is it going to do a few other things as well. So we do have a little bit of flexibility as to what that button does, so it literally is a fully customizable button, which is kind of neat. It would be kind of cool if we did have some other options there, but we'd at least have some basics to be able to customize it. We can change between songs or radio stations very simply. So active presets, as you can see there, so we're jumping between presets. We do have a voice command prompt there, so if we press that voice command prompt, as you can see there, we do have an assistant that can help us out. They can do things like change songs, radio stations, navigate, things like that using our voice. So it is very straightforward. And we do have this button there as well, and that's going to be for our volume. So we can easily adjust the volume there if we want to, which is definitely nice. Now, pressing this button is going to pull up this. So we've got a mini menu there, which gives us a ton of flexibility. So let's kind of start off with, let's go with our info to start. So we've got our basics, so we've got our trip counter there. So we go trip bank, we've got our trip A, trip B, and then we've got our trip auto setting. Moving down, we've got our content for the trip counter there as well. So do we want to show the trip distance, average speed, or economy, things like that. So I've never seen an individual setting like that go into so much depth where you can literally customize what's showing up in the actual trip counter. So it is very forward thinking on Land Rover's part to be able to include all of those things. With our info panel, what types of things are showing up? So do we want to have our driver assistance, map, summary, etc.? We can literally kind of click which options, or which option I should say, is going to show up there. So we've got our map, trip summary, media, etc. And that's going to be the one that shows up along the very top there. We've got some different options for our layout there. So we've got a 2-dial, a single dial, which is kind of neat. So look at this. Oh, we've got our map right in the screen. So nice. So we've got that as an option. If you wanted to, you could go to a full map there instead. So it literally stretches the map out across the entire screen. We've got our base media there instead, so we can figure out what's going on with media. As you can see there, we do also have what gear we're in, our current speed, as well as the current posted speed based off of the road that we're in. And then we've got our driver assistance layout there instead. So we do have a few different layouts and a few different ways that we can have the screen set up. I'd personally probably just go to the 2-dial instead. I just visually think it looks the nicest. But having said that, having the map be able to show up there as well is really, really cool. Then we've got our digital speedometer there anyway, as well as our tachometer. So which way you go is going to be up to you, but I do love the fact that we've got so many customization options there. Moving over to the side, we've got our vehicle settings now. So dropping there, we've got our warnings, so we can show different warnings there if we wanted to. Hopping inside, we've got our tire information, so we can see our tire pressure, and then our load setting there as well. So we've either got a normal or a light mode. We've got our TPS load setting there as well, so a light or a normal load. And moving back, we can go back up. And next one over, we've got our media. So we've got our audio sources, we've got radio. So our audio sources is an interesting one. So we can change between AM, FM, Sirius XM, etc. If our phone was connected, that would show up as an available audio source. If we had a USB stick with MP3s, that would show up as an audio source. So we do have a few options there. We've got our favorite stations, so we can literally change between different stations there if we wanted to. And we've also got our station list, so it'll literally show us every single station that's available based off of the location that we're in. All right, now back inside of our info panel, we do have a series of different options that are available there. So we've got our map, media, 4x4 info, and a number of other things. And that's going to be what's showing up. So if we go up and then up again, right here. So we literally can see what's going on with the driver assistance settings there. So we've got our lane keeping system on, off, etc. there. Now by pressing in, we can actually customize what's showing up inside of that panel. So as you can see there, we've got our driver assistance, we've got our map, we've got trip summaries, media, things like that. So if we go, let's actually go with 4x4 info, and let's get out of this screen again. And as you can see, we've got our 4x4 info there instead. So we can literally customize what's showing up on that main screen just by going to our info panel, and we can literally select which one is going to be showing up. So we can have it set it's a clock, we can have it so that nothing shows up and it's just a nice calming screen there instead. We can have our map show up and a few other things. So I personally would probably leave it to the map, just because having the map there without having to look over at the map is actually kind of a neat thing. So I love the fact that we've got that as an option inside of the vehicle. Now, that's going to be the basics of the actual screen there, and like I said, there are quite a few different options that are available there. Moving over to the other side though, we've got our lane keeping system, so we can easily turn that thing on or off if we want to. And now this is the base cruise control system, so just regular cruise control. We do have the option for the adaptive cruise, so the intelligent cruise instead, which is literally our set it and forget it cruise control. Now, if we had that one as an option, we would have a few extra buttons there, and they would do a few other things for us. So we would have distance indicators, so how close or how far do you want to be away from the vehicle that's in front of you, etc. We do have our speed limiter there as well as a heated steering wheel button. So I love the fact that we've got the button right on the steering wheel itself, so we can literally toggle that thing on or off rather than kind of having to fiddle across any other buttons like what we would typically see inside of other vehicles. But that is going to be the basics of the actual steering wheel and cluster. We do have a turning stick along the side there, which beautiful look there, but we can easily figure out what's going on with our lamps there, so we can easily kind of power through and move out, adjust as necessary. We've got our front and our rear fog lamps there as well, which is kind of nice. We can pull in order to be able to lock out our beams, etc. Now, along the right-hand side there, so as you can see there, our right turning stick is going to let us figure out exactly what's going on with our front as well as our rear windshield wiper. But that's going to be the basics of the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Defender.